The first thing we're going to do today is create variables for the labels we're going to create. So one for the count, which will be the number of butterflies that we've caught. And then we're going to create another label for the time since we started the game. So we're going to initialize those variables. We're going to set the count label equal to an sk label node. And then we're going to set some of the properties of the label node. We have to set first the we have to set various properties of the label. First thing is the opacity or the transparency. An alpha level of 1 means that it is not transparent. And then we're going to have to set the text value of the label, which we're going to make it as count. And then we have to set the positions of the label, and we also have to set different font properties. Since our background color is black, we have to make sure that the font color is white so that we can see it. And then we have to set the Z position to make sure it shows up above our background node or background image. And then we're going to set the position to show up in the top left corner. So we're going to use the min value of x plus a little bit of a buffer, so adding 100 points as a buffer from all the way at the edge of the screen. And then we're going to do the max value of y, and adding a little bit of buffer there too. So our label should show up in the top left of the screen, and then we're adding the label node to the scene. And now we're going to set the same properties again for the time label. We have to set the alpha value, which is the transparency. We have to set the text. We have to set the font color. We have to set the Z position. And we have to set the actual position of the label. We want the time label to show up to the right of the count label. So we're going to use a different value for the X position. So first making sure our Z position is above our background image, and then we're going to set the X position and the Y position of the label. We want it to show up to the right of the count label, so we're going to use the frame.midX value, and then add a little bit of a buffer. And then we're going to do the same thing with the Y value. So just a little bit underneath the maximum Y value that we can have. And then we're going to add the node to the scene. And there we have it. And you can see our labels at the top of the screen. So the next thing we're going to do is add the calculations for the count value of the label. So first we're going to create a variable for the count, and then we're going to initialize the count to 0 in the beginning. and then we're going to so now we're going to calculate the distance between the butterfly and the chasing butterfly. So basically, like, we're trying to find the distance between the two butterflies, and for that we have to do the distance formula, which is like x2 minus x1 times x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 times y2 minus y1, right? So we're gonna use the distance squared, right? Like the square of the formula to find basically if the two butterflies are in the same radius of each other. So looking at the x and y positions of both butterflies, and we're going to calculate that value. And then we're going to say, like, if the distance is within our radius, we're going to give the radius of like 100. If the two butterflies are within that distance, then we're going to say that we have caught the butterfly, and yeah. And then if we catch the butterfly, we want to update our counter variable, and then also we want to update the counter label. So yeah, we're going to get the count label, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to update the text. So we're going to set the text equal to caught, specifying we've caught this many butterflies. And then we're going to set that equal to the count value. So we're going to get our stored count value from our variables, and then use that when defining the text of our count label. And then we're also going to do count plus 1 because we initialized our count variable as 0. And then we want to make sure we update the variable to count plus 1 also to increment that. And yeah, now every time the two butterflies are within the set radius of each other, our count variable will be updated and our count label will be updated. And you can see our labels on the top of the screen, and whenever we catch a butterfly, the label should update with the number of butterflies that we have caught. So we also want our time label to update. So we're going to set a variable for the initial time that we started the game, and we're going to initialize that variable to the date function, which gets the current time, the date constructor. It's like a date time object. And now we put our code in the update function, so our time label will update along with this update function. So basically every couple milliseconds this label will update with the time that is elapsed since we started. And to get the duration, we do start time dot time interval since now. And then we want the number of seconds, so we're going to round that And then we have to do -1 because we want a positive number. And then also casting it to an int to get uh, the correct formatting that we want. And then we are going to set the text of the time label, and we're going to say that this many seconds has elapsed since the beginning. So our time label, the text for time, then the value of the duration, and then we're going to add an S at the end to indicate seconds. And yeah, now we are updating our time label. So we're going to build and run. And now we can see our time label is also updating as we play the game. And then we can see the number of butterflies that we caught and how much time that we caught them in. So yeah, now we have our scoring system and our labels are updating. Cool. Thanks for watching. This is part 3 of the video series. All the code is in GitHub. Please like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, give me some more ideas in the comments below.